Welcome, everybody, to the Tea with Ms McGill Show. It is Puka speaking. It is the star of the show, Reed Larson. This week, we had Kevin Kukinski, Ryan Stevens, Timmer, my buddy Timmer, Nate Anderson, Trenton Beal, Physic, and Anna Carlson make the best decision of their life, which was to follow the Tea with Ms McGill Show. So be just like them. Give us a follow. Hit the subscribe button right now for episode 59, of course. All right. 59. State tournament week. We got a lot of energy in the room here. We're ready to rock and roll. So we're going to start right away this week with our section finals recap presented by Aspire Heating and Control. They are your local Bryant dealer. And Bryant is the official heating and cooling company of your Minnesota Wild. They specialize in gas, electric, and hydronic heating and cooling systems for existing and new construction. Residential and commercial installations are available. Services include forced air systems, boilers, heat pumps, mini splits. They are licensed and bonded. Justin is the guy, 218-999-5957. Still time to get that furnace tuned, 999-5957. And of course, soon we're going to flip-flop and you need to get your air conditioner tuned. So if you're already looking that far forward, give Justin a call for that, as he can take care of servicing that air conditioner to make sure the humidity is knocked out. When it's June 2nd, it's 90 degrees with 100% humidity. So thank you, Aspire Heating and Control. All right, like I said, state tournament week. Ready to rock and roll?
Yeah, I mean, it's always, I don't know, is this a state holiday in Minnesota? It should be. It's Minnesota State High School Hockey Tournament is the best event in any event around the country as far as state tournaments. It's the biggest so far. I mean, they compare it to the Texas football state championships. However, there's still more people that make it to the state hockey tournaments in Minnesota. So pretty awesome when you've got multiple games down at the Xcel Energy Center where there's 20,000 people watching a AA hockey game. That isn't that big for the single A games. You probably at some point in time maybe see a few thousand. The state championship game, maybe 5,000 or 6,000. Yeah. But there's 20,000 people, especially if there's some outstate people that have to travel. And you know, you'd think that the games would be more populated if they were people from the area. But some of these teams, they keep seeing there year after year, and it gets kind of old. They want to start seeing some of these new teams from outstate or teams they haven't seen in a while.
Sure. Absolutely. Yeah. And I think it really connected for me how big the state tournament was during the movie Grumpy Old Men, where they're in the ice houses and the old guys watching on the TV, on a real TV back then. You kids have no idea. This is like a real TV, not a flat screen, but a little crap. I think it might have been black and white.
The movie probably was.
Anyway, and that's when that connection was like, state tournament. It was always a big deal to me, but I was a hockey person. But now it's like, no, state tournament in Minnesota high school is like a really big thing.
Well, it's really interesting because you can look at no diss. Maybe you can take a diss if you want, but if you look at a game where it's like, if it's Hill Murray and Cretin Durham Hall in the championship game, you don't have 20,000 people at that game.
Right.
Not even close.
Right.
Probably the best state championship game that I ever saw as far as attendance was 2017 Grand Rapids versus Moorhead. That building people were falling out of the building.
Well, it's a big deal for those programs.
Well, two outstate teams, but two storied traditions there. And not saying that Hail Murray and Cretin aren't storied, but you're talking about teams with big youth hockey associations where people are making the trip and they're staying the entire weekend.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
so they're there for the
hockey. They're there for the hockey.
For sure.
Exactly. Yeah. All right. So let's rewind just a bit. Last week, of course, we had a couple of Section 7 finals games. We had Rockridge Hermantown and Over East. I guess let's start with Rockridge Hermantown. Of course, Hermantown comes out on top, but Rockridge played a heck of a game. They hung in there.
Yeah,
what we hoped for.
Well, Rockridge, they put up a good fight. They really did. They played hard for most of the game. I think they played hard. They probably thought they were playing hard the entire game, but I thought there was a lull for about 6 or 7 minutes in the second period where Hermantown really kind of took control, and that's really where you saw some of the things that took Rockridge down. I had conversations with their coaches the next day, and they were pretty proud of their effort, and they should be.
Mm-hmm.
That's a program that's been to how many state tournaments? 12 out of the last 13 years they've been in the state tournament. The only team that beat them in the last 13 years was Greenway.
Yep.
So when you're thinking about how much experience these kids have going into that game, Rock Ridge doesn't have that experience. They haven't been in a section final. Who knows when the last time Evelyn was in a section final? If you know that statistic, put it in the comments. I can tell you the last time Virginia had been to a section final, that was 2010.
Yeah. Right.
So, or 2011, I should say. Hibbing beat them in 2011 and Blue Devils went to state in 2010. So 2011 was the last time that between those programs that somebody had been in a state section final.
Yeah.
So at any rate, Rock Ridge played really tough. There may have been some controversy that we can bring up and talk about here at some point, but I think that the better team ended up winning in the end, but I really was pulling for Rock Ridge. I think that they're not far away. They really aren't. And you saw glimpses in the section semifinal of Hermantown, and you saw glimpses of it in the final where Hermantown, for the first time in a decade, actually looked human.
Yeah, they're beatable.
I shouldn't say a decade. They didn't get beat by Greenway, but Greenway was loaded that year when they beat them. They had to be loaded that year. Hermantown actually looked human. Like there were some flaws in their game where you don't usually see flaws in their game. So pretty interesting. And Rock Ridge did a really nice job of exposing some of those flaws. And hats off to that program. I'm proud to say I was part of half of that program for 7 years. I'm really proud of the group of kids and coaches to take that program as far as they did and to be able to say, you know what, hey, we made it to the section final. See you. We're going AA. Peace out.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Andover East, that game turned out, started good early, but obviously got pretty lopsided. I was surprised. But as you've said all year, especially since the calendar turned to 2023, you got to watch that one line. They could quite possibly be the best line in the state.
They're the best line in the state. And you're going to see it starting Thursday night. I mean, you're going to see Conway and whatever the heck his name is, Thorson and Caden Casey take over the tournament. There's three guys that are going to be on the all tournament team, no question about it. But section final is a place for Cooper Conway to score 4 goals and for Gab Thorson to get 6 or 7 points, whatever it was. They get 6 points, a goal and 5 assists.
Right.
I mean, it's unbelievable. And if you're going to get beat, you're going to get beat by that line. That line was
they were lights out there. Yeah.
And
then the East gets that goal after it's 3-0, 3-1, hoping they could kind of hang in there. But what was it? About 2 minutes later, Andover got that other one, and it was like, oof, now we got a tough hill to climb here.
Well, I think East knew going into that game, they're going to have the perfect storm in order to win that hockey game. They had the perfect storm a month and a half before when they beat them at the Heritage Center. It was in their barn. It was not Andover's night. It was definitely East's night, and all the stars lined up. They were able to beat them, but I think a lot of things were going to have to line up. And we've said this as a coaching staff before that this season in section 7, it was Andover and everybody else. That you had to take away those top guys. And if you didn't, you weren't going to win. And I don't care if Andover got the number 2 seed. It didn't matter.
That's what you said last week. You thought they were the favorite going.
Yeah, they're the favorite going into it. And East earned the number 1 seed. You beat them. Congratulations for doing that. I feel like you didn't see it in the first period against East that they were completely taking the game over. You didn't see it in the game against Grand Rapids either, that Andover was taking over. Andover's feeling them out in the first period.
Yeah.
And then they get out there
against you guys.
Yeah.
A quick goal in the second
period, shift gears.
Yeah.
Now you're going, and you saw another gear hit that East couldn't hit. And unfortunately it was what it was. And I sat there just kind of banging my head against the wall going, East, you didn't have it that night. And I kept thinking a 5-0 versus getting beat 7-1 or 7-2. I don't know which one's better.
Right.
We gave up less goals. That's all I can say.
Right.
Rapid. So, but at any rate, Andover made the trip.
Yeah.
Congratulations to Coach Mark Manny and company. And hopefully they represent section 7 well.
Yeah. All right. So one thing that came up, few comments, few texts. After some parents got home, they took a look at the semifinal game, Hibbing, Hermantown. Apparently there was a high stick on the first goal for Hermantown. We saw in the Rockridge Hermantown game a goal be disallowed right away. That would have been for Rockridge. Being that WDIO is there, they got different, because go on Spidio, it's that one camera, it's operated, but WDIO has got the camera here. They got the cameras right above the net. They're doing some reviewing. I think there might have even been one other goal. If I'm mistaken, please comment, but I know those two for sure. Your opinion, should video replay be allowed in these section final games?
Well, there was actually a goal in the first period that got disallowed for Hermantown at the end of the period against Rockridge too.
Okay, that's what it was. Okay, I thought there was another one.
There was a goal that they got and it went into the net, but apparently the clock had hit 0.
That's exact. There you go. That's what it was. Because they were celebrating. They
thought it was a goal, and at any rate, you probably would think it's a goal if you're not looking at the clock. It isn't when the horn goes off. The horn's delayed. It's when the clock hits zeros. So you could, if there were replay, you could put the numbers on the bottom of the screen and watch the puck cross the line, and the numbers hit 0, 0, 0 on the score on the clock, and which one happens first. If the zeros hit first, then it's no goal. If the puck crosses first, then it's a goal. Well, they took care of looking at that on their own, because you just mentioned it's when you have video replay, you can do that. And you don't have video replay until you are at the Xcel Energy Center.
Right.
So your question is, well, geez, maybe they should, if they have it, why not use it? And here's why. They'll never go that direction, because then every single section final would have to have the opportunity to have video replay. And not everybody plays at a event where, or I should say at a facility where they have that camera set up there. In fact, WDIO did a nice job, but really they have other people that are working the goal review at UMD games, right? It isn't the TV station that's running it. It's somebody else that's running it. And
it's Toronto.
Yeah, they're running it from Toronto. But they utilize that technology at the Xcel Energy Center where they're checking video replay. But like going back to what I said before, you don't have that at every facility. I mean, you got section finals being played at Braemar Arena. They don't have video replay at Braemar. Section finals being played, let's say they're being played at Hibbing.
Yeah.
Years ago, they had it at Hibbing. They don't have video replay everywhere. So they would have to find a way. And the only way to do that is if every single section final were played at the Xcel Energy Center.
Yeah. Okay.
And you can't do that.
Okay. So fairness, kind of what the Minnesota State High School League's looking for.
Yeah, and it's opening up a can of worms.
Yeah. Yeah. I could see what you're saying there. So there's answers to some of you that texted or put some comments in. Smash a like button, and we'll be right back after this quick message. Boom. Quick commercial. Iron Range Apparel. We've talked about them. We talked about the lumberjack apparel. I've been talking about that. Just a quick run through of this store. We've talked about the gift buyer's paradise. Look at all the caps. We got all kinds of lines of clothing here. Lumberjack hat. We talked about all the Minnesota themed items right here. Like I said, something for everybody here. So whoever's on your gift list, this is your first stop. More specialty gifts, items, more clothes. Look at there. I like these. Look what they're doing with the old broken hockey sticks, huh? Little ice scraper. The ODR line we've talked about on the show. So there's some of the ODR hats, caps. We got t-shirts, got the jerseys. I talked a little bit about the jerseys. More t-shirts. So like I said, if you're looking for a gift, this is the place to be. More hats. And then we talked about the hams. Bear, one of the more popular items. So Iron Range Apparel. All right, welcome back to the Tea with Ms McGill Show. All right, Mr. Larson. So obviously Rockridge made the announcement they're going to go AA. So we have this new facility in Virginia, of course, the Iron Trail Motors Event Center. It's time, I think, that we make the argument to get the Section 7A finals. So hear me out, Section 7A committee. Get the Section 7A finals back to the Iron Range. We got a brand new building. The atmosphere, I think, will be better because it'll be full. As a matter of fact, go to our Facebook page right now. I posted a picture pre-show of the section final game, Hibbing Hermantown. A lot of empty seats. I also have a picture up there of Eveleth, Virginia, last regular season game. You can see the difference in crowd. Better atmosphere at the MEC, I believe. More passionate fans. There's just less to do. I mean, I think just the casual person, there's something to do in Virginia, would probably show up there. Plus, we have 5 Iron Range teams now versus 4. We have Ely, International Falls, Chisholm, Hibbing, Greenway, and I'm throwing Cloquet in as an Iron Range team because we got Shea Walters. Shea would love to come home and play on the range. And in the Duluth side, we've got Proctor, Hermantown, Moose Lake, North Shore, and actually North Shore is about a 20-mile difference between going down to Duluth or going over to Virginia. So I want to make a push. I'm going to try and make this happen. What say you on my idea of getting the Section 7A back up to the range to the MEC?
Well, I think it's a fantastic idea. I can't even argue if somebody said, let's take the AA games away from Amsoil Arena. It's a ridiculous amount of money that we're spending to rent Amsoil, that the state high school league has to pay to rent the Amsoil Arena. I think some of the best section finals have been when teams played at the Memorial Building in Hibbing. I can remember a Grand Rapids, when I was a little kid, a Grand Rapids section final versus Virginia in 1991.
Oh, I remember, I was there. Yep.
That place had people hanging from the ceiling. I mean, there's 4,000 people in there or more. Right. It was unbelievable. It was best atmosphere I've seen. I've seen section semifinals that have been played at the IRA Civic Center and also at Cloquet in their new facility at the Northwoods Credit Union Arena. And those are just phenomenal facilities too, that seat north of 3,000 people. When you're looking at the only time that the Amsoil Arena has ever been electric in the section finals for Section 7 is if it's Grand Rapids and East. I don't remember the last time it was East and Cloquet. That probably gets to be pretty heated in a good crowd. I don't remember the last time that happened, but I do know that anytime that it's Rapids and East, they have to open up the upper deck. They don't even need to open the upper deck. Like they did for the AA finals. I don't know why. Right. Like shove people in the lower bowl, like make them sit there.
And it's so noticeable when you got those yellow seats. I mean, they stick out.
Well,
like
you know why.
Not a background color.
At Amsoil, you know why when they designed that arena, why they went with some maroon seats and then sporadically doing some, gold ones in there. They do that to make it look like there's more people in the building when the seats aren't completely full. Because if you got mostly in your row, you got mostly maroon seats and then you got 1 or 2 yellow ones. Well, it looks like there's more people sitting in the building, right? So that's the purpose for that. But I think it's a fantastic idea. Why not use the Iron Trail Motors?
Yeah, I mean, a neutral side. I just think the venue's a better size. Like you said, we're not. No, I just saw a video, 1986. Well, Section 7 final, because only one class back then. Greenway Hibbing. Eric Gislason, some of you might remember. I actually got an interview from Eric Gislason when I was in 4th grade at the White Lakes UMD White Lakes hockey camp. But anyway, he's reporting live. 5,500 fans will witness the section finals tonight here at the Hibbing Memorial Building. And I don't know if the range will ever produce crowds that big, but I think that the MEC's about 2,500, 3,000. I think it would really fill up. Obviously nice facility, brand new facility, get it up here on the range, a neutral site because Rockridge has now moved. WDIO, you can get in your vans and come on up. I think it's a great idea. So for those of you out there, ADs that are watching, put the pressure on the Section 7 committee. Let's get some playoff hockey back on the Iron Range.
Love it.
Any more comments on that?
Nope.
Oh, and then we'd like to hear your comments. We got a comment on that. You like our idea, don't like our idea, please comment. We'd like to hear from you. Smash that thumbs up button right now, and we will be right back after this quick message. What do you think? Slappy shoddy. Hey y'all, just wanted to do a real quick run through here at the Rink Sports Bar and Grill in Eveleth. Wanted to just kind of show you the place, another bar there. Get your game on. Pool there. Want to show you some. Look at this. Aurora Hoyt Lakes. When's the last time you saw Aurora Hoyt Lakes or a Hoyt Lakes jersey like that? Mountain Iron. Chisholm. Gilbert. Pretty cool. TJ Thomas, you all know TJ, the legend from here in Evelyn. Where do you think TJ comes in as a beer when he's home? He comes right here to the Rink Sports Bar and Grill, even the old Iron Rangers jersey. So when you're in the Quad Cities, this is the place to be. The Rink Sports Bar and Grill, right down from the Hockey Hall of Fame, just off Highway 53. Come pay him a visit. Welcome back to the Tea with Ms McGill Show. All right, this week, many of you probably saw this WDIO story that was floating around social media, or you actually saw it on the broadcast. They did a little piece on Rockridge and Denfeld opting up to AA for next year. I thought an interesting comment made by Coach Jago of Denfeld was, and I quote, "The Minnesota State High School League has a lot to answer for when you're a top 8 or 10 team and can't make it to state." So my question for you, Mr. Larson, is this a shot at Hermantown, or could it just be a shot at the Minnesota State High School League that he doesn't like the format, i.e. there used to be that backdoor option getting to the state. I know back in the 70s, I don't know when that ended. What are your thoughts on Coach Jago's comment?
Well, I think if somebody were taking it as a shot towards Hermantown, I don't think that Jago would take any offense to that, because he has no problem being upfront when it comes to throwing jabs at Hermantown. He's not a guy that's real passive aggressive. Like, he's in your face with his comments, and I love it about him. I don't always agree with everything he says, but I love it.
Sure.
Like, at least he's honest.
Yep.
So he's not gonna, if he had said something about Hermantown, it'd be Hermantown this, Hermantown that. I think it's a jab at the State High School League. And look at the current format. I mean, you split from a one-class system years ago. Back in 1991 was the last year of the single-class system. You split from that and said, we're going to go with a tier 1, tier 2 system. And that lasted 2 years because nobody wanted to be considered being part of the tier 2 system. Like, okay, well, we made it to the state tournament. We're the best of the worst.
Yeah, 65th
right?
best, right?
I mean, there's teams right now that have won tier 2 state championships that don't even acknowledge that it's a state championship. Greenway, for one, won't even talk about their tier 2 state championship. Like, Saratoria was talking about Greenway a couple of years ago when they made it to the state tournament. They asked about, state championship back when, state tournament, single A tournament, and making it 4th place in 1 year. And somebody wanted to bring up the comment in 92, and like, he just changed the subject. They didn't want to talk about the tier 2 system.
I think Pat Geyer made a similar when they went 0-1. And again, this is before you two, you can't go.
Yeah.
It was on the news, and I'm pretty sure he said, as they were on the ice celebrating, and they run out there, and there's commotion going along, so great feeling. We haven't been here since 1987.
Yeah.
Janander, Miller, and those guys. And I remember, of course, no rewind. Now that you said that, just remembered it, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah,
a lot of pride in Greenway.
We'll go back and watch some of the YouTube comments of back when they interviewed Coach Sartori, Air Force coach, when they were interviewing him, and he was talking about his alma mater, Greenway, being in the state tournament back in 2019. He made it really clear that he wasn't going to talk about the tier 2 stuff. He completely didn't bring it up. So he wanted to talk about that. So that only lasted 2 years. But then you get into the A single A, and the idea of that split was to give some of these younger programs an opportunity to experience the state tournament. I get it. There were, I shouldn't say younger, I should say smaller programs. Yeah. Some of them are younger, but smaller programs. And don't get me wrong, there are years where small programs made it in the original format. Look at how many times Roseau made it to the state tournament, and they've got less people in their community. International Falls state tournaments, Evelyn state tournaments. I mean, there's small communities that have made it. It's, but they did, after years of watching some of the same teams every year, start looking at, well, we're going to grow hockey in Minnesota, and we're going to do that by giving more kids an opportunity to be under the lights at then the St. Paul Civic Center, now the XL Energy Center. So small schools, the idea is you're a small school, we're giving you a chance. Big schools, you're AA. You should be competing for the almighty AA state championship, which would be like the single class state championship. So I think he's challenging that format. And I think The biggest argument that I have for the state high school league maybe having to revisit this is they don't, and I know they only work with high schools. The state high school league is only dealing with high school hockey. They're not looking at youth hockey format, but I think they have to. I really do. I think that you don't have a high school program unless you've got a feeder program. Yep. You've got something that shovels kids into your high school program throughout the course of youth hockey, and they're shoving kids into your program. So it's not like, okay, well, we got kids, they're in high school 9 through 12. Well, I'm deciding to go out for hockey. Like, that's not the way it works. You usually play through youth hockey all the way up.
Yep.
So what happens in youth hockey matters. And I think they need to dig into youth hockey. Like, youth hockey should not be allowed, and Minnesota hockey can get involved in this. Youth hockey should not be allowed to play at a class any different than what their high school program plays at.
Yeah.
And I get it, if you got the kids to be able to play AA youth hockey and then get to the high school level and say, but our population is such, we're going to play single A. That's the perfect formula. You're going to win every year. Look at who's there every single year. Hermantown is there every year because that's their formula. Mahtomedi is there every year because that's their formula. There's one other team that made it to the state tournament. Now, this is one of a couple of years that they've gone back to this format, but Alexandria, AA youth hockey, single A high school. Ding. Yeah. There's 3 teams that do it in the state, and they're all 3 at the state tournament right now.
Sure. So
you do the math. I don't think that schools should be allowed to do it on either side. So if your youth hockey plays AA, then the high school's got to play AA. If your youth hockey's playing single A, your high school's got to play single A. I think it has to be together. I don't think you can have your cake and eat it too. That's just my opinion.
Okay. Very astute. All right. And also along those lines, I did see social media kind of a buzz about these comments, and some Hermantown fans, talking about between the Pionk article and the Jago quit whining. Listen, Hermantown fans, there's nobody that whined more in front of the cameras, practically bawling, than Coach Plant those years when St. Thomas was cleaning up on you guys at the state tournament. He was practically bawling, whining about St. Thomas and recruiting and getting all these people. So clean your finger before you point. There have been plenty of whining coming out.
That's a good one. I like that.
So, yeah. So I don't know. Any comments on that?
No, I can't argue. I mean, there's back-to-back state championships with St. Thomas
11,
Academy.
12, 13, 14.
Whatever.
Like
I mean, boom. They single A, and people are pointing fingers. You're a private school. You can recruit. Well, they don't have a feeder program. They're pulling from other programs or whatever it might be. But that coaching staff said, okay, I read you. I see what's coming at you. I don't think they got pressure from the state high school league. Maybe they did. I don't think they did. I think they just, as a staff and as a community, said, we're going to make the next step. We've done it all at the single A level. Let's go AA. Boom, they did it. Good for you.
Yeah, and they've been to state.
They've been to state. They were just there. Were they last year or the year before? But they've been there a few times here in the last 5 years.
Yeah, I get a kick out of their coach. He wears like a t-shirt with rolled sleeves, and he just kind of stands there. I don't know if he's still, well, Randolph's coach now, but the previous coach, previous to the young guy, but because that younger guy took over, but he was kind of standing.
Yeah,
kind of like a t-shirt with rolled sleeves, like no suit, no nothing, nothing with the school colors, nothing. But he just standing there, and then of course the whole fan group's in uniforms, and there he is in a t-shirt. That's
absolutely, man.
The irony,
for sure.
All right. Previews and predictions section. Obviously, Minnesota State High School hockey tournament starts tomorrow. Today is Tuesday. What do you got on your radar?
Well,
what do you like? Who you liking? What matchups you liking?
Well, I just think that you're going to see some things that maybe are not what you're expecting. I mean, everybody's seen in the last few years, Hermantown outside of the COVID year when they only had 3 varsity kids on their team because everybody else had COVID or everyone else was exposed to COVID. And the only one that from the varsity program, that wasn't exposed was Plant. So he was there doing it all himself and playing every single shift, every other shift. And that was one time where they weren't making it to the state championship game. But every year you see them in the state championship game. And we just said this earlier, that Hermantown has showed glimpses of being human this year. I don't think you're going to see them. And I hate to say it. I really like Coach Pat Andrews, and I like their kids. They got awesome kids like George Peterson. I like Dallas View. Really nice players. I don't think they're going to be in the state championship game. I really don't. I think what's going to happen is I think both of them are going to win their first round games by a lot. I think the Mahtomedi game might be a little bit closer because Alexandria can compete. But I don't think Laverne's going to be that close to Hermantown. And I think it's going to come to the semifinals. And I think Hermantown's going to get beat by Mahtomedi.
Ooh,
that's my opinion.
Rematch from the outdoor game.
Yep. That was outside. It's a different setup, but I think Mahtomedi has the experience of being there. I think you might see those guys get knocked off. I don't think anything different than what we expect is going to happen on the other side of the bracket. World's not going to lose a game.
World, right?
They're going to win the whole thing. They're going to go to the state championship game and they're going to win the whole thing. They'll find a way. They got the best goalie in the tournament. They've got probably the best forward in the tournament when it comes to being offensively gifted. You're going to see Hermantown, or you're going to see Warroad knock off Orono in the second round, and Orono is going to end up playing the third place game against Hermantown. And I still question whether or not Hermantown's going to win the third place game.
Yeah, you said that was a battle, right?
Yeah, I think Orono is good. Like, I think they're going to be a good team to battle for that third place game. So I am the first person to say I'll eat crow if I'm completely wrong, but that's just my opinion.
All right. Well, we'll be back here next week where you can hear his opinion. All right. How about on the AA side?
AA is interesting. I take a peek at the teams that are in there, and Maple Grove is there again. They've been in the state championship game 2-3 years. Last year, they had a state championship game and they lost Andover.
They were supposed to make in 17 and Rapids bumped them out.
Yeah, they did. They were in that quarterfinal game. Moorhead's in the tournament again. Moorhead makes the tournament every year. I mean, when they don't make it, then it's usually Roseau from Section 8. And Moorhead usually finds their way through the winners bracket. Last year they didn't. They got knocked off in the quarterfinals by Andover. There's the 4-5 seed game, and Andover beat them final seconds of the game or overtime or whatever it might be. And Moorhead's been really good at making trips to the state tournament, but has been the bridesmaid and never the bride. They've never won a state championship in hockey. And they've got that curse hanging over their head. I eventually would like to see Moorhead win one. It's just not this year.
Yeah, Johnny Ammerman. Yeah, Coach Ammerman.
I think Moorhead's going to get knocked off by Edina in the first round. You're going to end up having Edina and Maple Grove play for a battle in the semifinals. And then you look over at the other bracket. I'd like to think that Lakeville South can do something. They were in the state championship game a couple of years ago and lost. But I think it's going to end up being Andover. I hate to say it because
coming out that side?
Coming out. Yeah. I think Andover is going to come off that side, and they're going to end up going into the next bracket where they play the number one team in the state in semifinals. And that's going to be a battle between Minnetonka and Andover. I can't really give you a for sure, like, oh yeah, these guys are going to walk through it. I think it's going to be Minnetonka playing either Edina or Maple Grove in the championship, but it could be Andover.
Okay. Ooh. All right. Some bold predictions.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome. So everyone enjoy the tournament. This is great. All right. Some scores and more from the week that was. We don't really have any scores because we know you already know everything that went on. Of course, there were so few games, but what we want to do is send out some congratulations to a few groups. The Chisholm-Hibbing Pee Wee A's headed to state. Congratulations. The Chisholm-Hibbing Bantam A's headed to state. Not a goal scored on them in 3 games up in regions.
Yeah.
Congratulations heading to state. The Grand Rapids Bantam Double A's getting her done. Congratulations to you guys.
First time now, I think, for Grand Rapids. Obviously, Hibbing Chisholm had made it and had a state championship there a couple of years ago with their Pee Wee team, and it's the same group coming in as first year Bantams. They get a really good chance to repeat as Bantams like they were in Pee Wees. But I think I could be wrong, but I don't think I am. I think this is the first time a Grand Rapids Bantam team has gone back to the Minnesota Hockey State Tournament since the group that won it in 17 was Bantams in 2015.
Oh, really? Okay.
So that was the Blake McLaughlin, Micah Miller crew that won it, the Double A stage at Stomp Hard. Those guys won it in 2015. Then they were on the high school team as juniors and sophomores. They ended up winning it or going to state in 16 and then going to state again in 17 in high school. So I think this is the first time. I could be wrong, but put that in the comments if I'm not on, but I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, and this group did not make it in Pee Wees. So congratulations. They kind of overcame some stuff over the last couple of years and made it happen. The GRG 12U team is also going to state, so congratulations to you ladies.
Lightning.
And the Essentia All-Star Game is a week from today. Of course, many area players, I guess kind of too many to mention, but we just wanted to send a congratulations to all of you that were selected for that.
Yeah, the Minnesota, Northern Minnesota All-Star Game, pretty fun. Now they've gone back to the original format for the last 6-7 years. They've just taken kids from the Duluth and Iron Range area and they've drafted 2 teams and you could make either team. Well, now they went back to a Duluth area team and an Iron Range area team. Duluth area team with Twin Ports surroundings, and then the Iron Range team would be Iron Range / add in Bemidji or Brainerd or whoever.
Yeah, so there's a couple of Bemidji kids on there. Yeah. Okay.
So that it's going back to its original format, and apparently the people that run, which is Kern's company, the people that run that decided that, they think there's some good enough players over in that area to make that a game again.
Awesome. Well, congratulations.
Congrats.
Big shout out to all of you that made that. All right. Anything to add to episode 59?
No, just get out and enjoy. There is some streaming options to watch the state tournament starting tomorrow at 11 o'clock tomorrow morning. The single A games will start. There's only one legitimate streaming site that is allowed to stream. So hear me when I tell you this, because there are a lot of these people trying to scam when they put up these little streaming sites. Oh, here's a free stream, and they share someone's game day, whatever, and they put in this fake place where they can steal your credit card information. There's only one place that is streaming this, and that if you go to the State High School League page, the Minnesota State High School League, and hit Prep 45, that'll take you to the link. Prep 45 is the only place that will be streaming the game. If you're watching it on television, then you can watch it on KSTPV, whatever that is, KST
or KSP TV.
Yes. Yeah.
KSP TV?
Yeah. Channel 5, the ABC Channel 5 out of the cities. Yeah. So that's where you can watch it on television. But if you're looking to stream it, go to the State High School League page, click on state hockey tournaments. There'll be a link that you can scroll down to and click on it.
All right. Awesome. That's good advice. Thank you for that. All right. So like I said, please comment. We've told you many times, there's lots of stuff to comment on in today's episode. Leave a review on Apple Podcasts if you can. If you want to contact us, Goatsportsmediallc at gmail.com, or of course you can just, comment or DM us. Hammer the follow button. You can find the Tea with Ms. McGill Show on Instagram, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. T McGill, if you're on Twitter, Goat Sports Media LLC on YouTube and or Facebook. Of course, please share the show. Sharing is caring. Merch in the background, as always. Got to get one out the door tomorrow. Email the show if you'd like to advertise. And as always, thanks to our great sponsors, Rink Sports Bar and Grill, Iron Range Apparel, ODR Apparel, Aspire Heating and Control, Iron Range Goalie Academy. For Reed Larson on this Minnesota State High School Hockey Tournament Week, I am Puka. Get out there and be your dream. You're tuned to the Tea with Ms. McGill Show.